I want a divorce. I've met someone who genuinely brings me joy. I'm Nathan Bell, 45 years old, working as a financial systems analyst for Orbis Union in Richmond, Virginia. That message arrived while I was at my desk on a Wednesday morning, meticulously reviewing a client's fraud detection algorithms. My wife Dana was supposed to be away at a marketing conference in Dallas for 3 days, as she'd mentioned. My phone buzzed again. I've already moved the retirement funds into my private account. You can keep the house. I don't need it anymore. I set down my coffee, opened my banking app, and assessed my balances. Something felt off, but not in the way she imagined. I replied, "I hope you're happy." That was all. No debate, no begging, just those 7 words. The next hour passed as I monitored line items updating across 3 different dashboard systems. Every joint account we had was linked through a consolidated monitoring system I'd created myself. Retirement accounts, investments, emergency, funds, and even the checking account Dana believed was hers alone. When she initiated those transfers, she activated several fraud detection protocols. The system was indifferent to feelings or marital status. It noticed 6 figures moving without the necessary 2-party verification. Federal anti-fraud measures kicked in automatically. By noon, my phone buzzed with alerts, not from Dana, but from the receiving institution. Account review initiated. Deposits frozen pending investigation. I didn't smile or celebrate. I just cleared the alerts and returned to my work. Someone else's financial security needed my focus. Dana's phone would start buzzing soon enough. She'd attempt to access her funds and discover her balance was 0. The system shows no mercy for poor choices. I had learned that lesson from observing accounts freeze during suspicious activity inquiries. Money is indifferent to love, betrayal, or timing. It adheres to rules, and Dana had just violated them all. We had been married for 22 years, high school sweethearts from Petersburg. I was always the numbers guy, calculating strike rates for the baseball team and tracking our senior class fundraising penny by penny. Dana was the social butterfly, everything a marketing professional should embody. Charming, persuasive, always. Networking. "You're too cautious with money," she'd say after I'd meticulously double-check our tax returns. "Someone has to be," I'd reply. "It worked for years." I managed our finances while she advanced her career at Valerie. Marketing group. She traveled frequently for workshops in Austin and seminars in Phoenix, always networking for the company. The warning signs came gradually, like mist settling over water. 6 months ago, she stopped asking about retirement projections. 3 months prior, she opened a credit card without discussing it with me first. 2 weeks ago, she commented that our guest room was too cluttered. Who visits us anymore anyway? My sister noticed it during Thanksgiving. She seems distant. Just work stress, I explained. But Dana wasn't stressed. She was planning. While I maintained our consolidated financial tracking system, something I had developed after a failed audit at a client company cost them millions. She had been examining it too, identifying blind spots, except my system had no blind spots. Every account was connected, every transfer monitored, not due to distrust, but out of habit, built from years of intercepting client fraud attempts and understanding how money moves when people wish to keep it off the books. The Tuesday night before her trip to Dallas, she showed unusual interest in our retirement balances. "How much do we have in total?" she asked during dinner. "About $800,000 between us," I replied. "Why?" "Just curious." Now, that curiosity made perfect sense. She had been devising her exit plan. I contemplated calling her mother, her best friend Patricia, or my own parents. But what could I say? "Your daughter attempted to steal our retirement and got caught. By fraud detection?" It sounded absurd, like something from a soap opera. Instead, I prepared my dinner, watched the news, and checked the alerts once more. The transfers remained frozen. The fraud investigation would take 5 to 7 business days before releasing or returning the funds. Dana had gambled on speed, hoping to access everything before I noticed it, before the system caught up. She had forgotten that throughout our years together, I had never overlooked a financial detail. The call came Friday morning at 11:30. "Nathan, my card isn't working." Her voice carried that edge I recognized from conference calls when her presentations went awry, controlled panic masked as mild irritation. "What's your balance?" "0. "How is it 0? "I transferred." "Right about that." I heard her inhale. Then silence. "What did you do?" "Nothing," I replied honestly. The fraud detection system flagged unusual withdrawals from protected retirement accounts. Federal regulations necessitate reviews for large withdrawals without proper joint authorization. More silence. How long? 5 to 7 business days. Maybe longer if they find issues. She hung up. I sat in my home office, staring at the fraud alerts, sipping my coffee. A fundamental shift occurred within me. Not anger, nor betrayal exactly, but clarity. For 22 years, I had safeguarded our financial future, saved diligently, invested wisely, constructed systems to catch problems before they arose. And the woman I had done it all for decided to take everything and vanish. But it wasn't the money that hurt. It was the efficiency of her betrayal. A text message, a transfer, a goodbye, like finalizing a business deal. I accessed our investment portfolio. Without Dana's transfers, our retirement accounts remained secure. The house purchased 5 years ago for $300,000 was now worth nearly 5 times that. My modest stocks held in individual accounts. Our savings bonds, everything was intact, safeguarded by protocols I had built while she attended networking events. My phone buzzed with 23 texts from Dana Friday afternoon. I didn't read them. What was left to discuss? The divorce lawyer I consulted Saturday was sympathetic yet straightforward. File now. Document everything. The attempted financial misconduct will work in your favor. I filed Monday morning. Simple papers, no alimony requests, no division of unaffected assets. Just a divorce. The house remained in my name. I hadn't touched our joint checking account. I let it sit with its $3,000 balance. Dana could have that part. By Tuesday, reality set in. I wasn't vengeful. I never had been. But I wasn't naive either. The same systems I had built to protect our clients at Orbit Union had safeguarded me. Banking algorithms don't care about marriage vows. They focus on patterns, authorization, and compliance. And Dana had breached every rule while believing she was clever. I went to work, ate lunch at my desk, and reviewed fraud cases. The irony was not lost on me. The weekend came. I cleared out the guest room Dana had complained about, donated her old books, and boxed up photographs, not out of anger, but practicality. The life I had known ended with a text message, but the systems I had established endured. Sometimes, the best plans are the ones you hope never to utilize, and occasionally, they save you without you lifting a finger. Dana hired Patricia Martinez as her attorney. I knew Patricia from neighborhood barbecues, always discussing loopholes and legal workarounds. They filed a motion claiming I had deliberately orchestrated the account freeze. Your husband used his financial expertise to sabotage marital assets, the papers stated. I met with my attorney, William Brooks, at West Hill Legal, a former banker himself. He read the motion and chuckled. They're going with misconduct. Bold strategy when the fraud alerts are automated responses, not manual actions. The hearing was scheduled for 2 weeks out. Meanwhile, Dana called the house 17 times Sunday night. I finally answered. Nathan, you need to call the bank. Tell them it was authorized. I'm stranded here. Where's here? Phoenix. I'm staying with friends. Phoenix isn't Dallas. Silence followed. It's complicated. I'm sure it is. Did you call your conference? Organizer, your boss at Valerie? Don't start. Just asking since you're supposedly at a work event. Click. Monday brought unexpected developments. My fraud monitoring systems flagged something new. Dana had attempted to open credit cards using our joint address. 3 applications in 2 days, all denied. Due to the pending fraud investigation, she was trapped in a financial vice of her own making. No accessible funds, credit frozen, travel limited to whatever cash she had available. Tuesday, Patricia called me directly. This is getting messy. Nathan, your wife needs basic living expenses. She's welcome to use the joint checking account. $3,000 is sitting there untouched. That's hardly reasonable. It's what we've always kept for emergencies. She considered $800,000 reasonable to transfer without discussion. Patricia hung up. Wednesday brought revelations. Through unexpected channels. Alan Murphy, Dana's boss at Valerie, called with concerns. Is Dana really at our Dallas conference? HR has no record of her registration. I considered lying, protecting her instead. You'll have to ask her. She hasn't returned my messages. We've noticed irregularities in her expense reports, too. My stomach twisted. Not just a personal betrayal. Professional misconduct as well. I can't speak to that. Understood. But if she reaches out to you... Never mind. Thanks, Nathan. The fraud investigation expanded. Bank representatives contacted me directly. Sir, we found multiple unusual transfers between corporate and personal accounts over the past 18 months, all from the same workstation IP address. Dana hadn't merely stolen from us. She had been siphoning company funds. My carefully planned life shattered. Completely. Every foundation I'd relied on, marriage, trust, basic honesty, seemed compromised. But I hadn't pushed her toward crime. I had merely built systems that caught it when it occurred. Thursday morning, Patricia filed an emergency motion for Dana's living expenses. The judge set a quick hearing for Friday. I prepared meticulously, printed bank statements, fraud alerts, and historical transfer patterns. My financial training kicked in. Evidence speaks louder than accusations. The night before the hearing, Dana texted, "I'm sorry it came to this." I didn't respond. Apologies after attempted theft felt hollow. Friday arrived, cold and gray. At the courthouse, I saw Dana for the first time since her departure for the conference. She looked smaller somehow, pale. "Why?" she whispered in the hallway. "Why? What? Why did I notice? Why did the system work? Why did you try to take everything?" She had no answer. The hearing lasted 20 minutes. The judge examined the fraud reports, noted the automated nature of the holds, and ruled that access to the joint checking account was sufficient for basic needs during the investigation. Dana exited empty-handed. Her trap had ensnared her instead. The following Monday, an unexpected visitor appeared at my office. Gregory Harris, an investigator from Eastern Financial Compliance. "Mr. Bell, we found evidence of systematic fraud involving your wife and several corporate accounts. We need your expertise." "I'm not involved." "We know. That's why we need your help. Your personal fraud detection system flagged patterns we missed." Over coffee in our conference room, Gregory revealed the scope. Dana hadn't acted alone. Thomas Wade, another executive at Valerie Marketing, had helped establish a complex web of transfers. They had been moving corporate marketing budgets into personal accounts for nearly 2 years. "Your system triggered multiple alerts that led us to audit their entire division." "How much?" "Preliminary estimate, $2 million across various accounts." I felt nauseous. While I had been meticulously tracking our personal finances, my wife had been orchestrating a corporate embezzlement scheme. The betrayal was deeper than a failed marriage. "What happens now?" "Federal investigation. Your personal accounts are already being separated from the business fraud case, but we need documentation showing your lack of knowledge or involvement." I provided everything: tax returns, personal financial statements, the entire audit. Trail of my tracking systems, every piece of evidence proving I had built these protocols for protection, not to facilitate theft. Dana texted that evening, "They're saying it's federal charges. They think I took millions." I didn't respond. What could I say? Tuesday brought further revelations. Our realtor, James Everett, called about unusual inquiries. "Someone's been asking about putting your house on the market. Pre-approved cash buyer, price at $300,000. They claim to represent you and your wife." $300,000. That was the original purchase price from 5 years ago. Thomas Wade made these inquiries. How did you know that name? The pieces clicked into place. Dana and Thomas hadn't just stolen money. They had been planning to buy our house at its old value through a clandestine buyer, flipping it for the current market price of $500,000 and pocketing the difference. A complete exit strategy disguised as a real estate transaction. Wednesday, I met with Detective Sarah Flynn from the Richmond Financial Crimes Unit. She confirmed the pattern. They targeted properties owned by corporate employees, creating artificial market pressure to force below-market sales. Your system detected transfer anomalies that uncovered the entire scheme. How many victims? 12 families so far. Your case is the cleanest evidence trail we have. I thought of those 12 families, people like me who trusted, who planned carefully, who followed rules while others found ways around them. Thursday, Dana's attempt to access the frozen funds through an emergency court order failed. Her lawyer requested a conference. Your client needs to prepare for federal indictment, William Brooks explained. The fraud investigation has expanded beyond marital assets. Patricia appeared shaken. Federal wire fraud, conspiracy, possible RICO charges if they establish an ongoing enterprise. Dana faced significant prison time, not just for stealing from me, but for systematic theft from her employer and coordinated property fraud. That evening, I forwarded all my financial documentation to the U.S. Attorney's Office. Every fraud alert, every monitoring log, every piece of evidence my systems had collected. I hadn't built those systems for revenge, but they unveiled a crime far larger than personal betrayal. Justice doesn't stem from anger. It arises from facts, patterns, and systems designed to reveal the truth. And sometimes, truth destroys more than just marriages. I testified before the grand jury Thursday morning, clean, factual, devoid of emotion, as I explained how my financial monitoring systems operated. The automated alerts triggered at 3 a.m. when transfers exceeded preset thresholds. No human intervention required. The prosecutor appreciated the technical precision. Did you ever access your wife's accounts without permission? No. The system monitored joint accounts only. I designed it to catch unusual patterns in our shared finances. 2 hours of testimony detailed every alert, every security protocol, and how the system differentiated normal from suspicious activity. Dana's potential sentence grew clearer. The U.S. Attorney's Office outlined charges. Multiple counts of wire fraud, conspiracy, and embezzlement, 20 years minimum if convicted. After my testimony, I drove straight to my office at Orbis Union. My team leader, Michelle Chang, had been fielding calls all week. Federal investigators required our full systems audit. Everything Dana accessed. We spent Friday converting 3 years of financial data. Every login, every transaction, every access point Dana had used to construct her scheme. None of us saw this coming, Michelle said quietly. Nobody did. That's why these systems exist. The weekend brought unexpected peace. Federal investigators seized Dana and Thomas's phones, laptops, and external drives. Evidence mounted hourly. Sunday afternoon, Patricia called. Nathan, Dana wants to provide information about larger financial crimes. She's ready to name names if charges are reduced. That's between her and the prosecutors. They might ask about marital reconciliation as character witness material. I contemplated carefully. Tell them our marriage ended when she attempted to steal our retirement. The rest is just numbers. Monday, I received formal notice. The investigation regarding marital assets was complete. All retirement funds would be restored to their original accounts, and the joint checking account would be split evenly. $3,000, half of what Dana believed she needed for basic expenses. Tuesday brought finality. Federal indictments were issued. Dana, Thomas, and 5 other Valerie employees were charged with orchestrating an organized financial fraud scheme across Virginia. The bail hearing revealed more. Under federal guidelines, flight risk meant no bond. P. Dana would remain incarcerated pending trial. Her text from jail Tuesday evening read, "I never meant for it to go this far." I finally responded, "You never meant to get caught." Wednesday, the U.S. Attorney offered plea deals, reduced sentences for full cooperation. Dana's decision now, 20 years or testify against Thomas and his network. I cleared out her office in our house that evening, boxes of marketing materials, files, computer printouts. In the bottom drawer, I discovered a notebook filled with real estate prices, property assessments, and a list of 12 addresses, targets, including our house. She had planned meticulously, akin to how I would have, but for theft instead of security. Thursday afternoon, the divorce proceedings resumed. Her incarceration complicated everything. "Your wife is willing to concede all marital property," her new public defender explained, "in exchange for your testimony regarding her character." I've already testified about what I know. The financial systems, the fraud alerts, she's requesting personal testimony about your marriage. I weighed this. 22 years with the person I thought I knew, the schemes I had never suspected. I'll testify about what I observed. Nothing more. William filed papers confirming the terms. The house remained mine. Retirement accounts restored and modest alimony rejected. Federal sentencing would render it irrelevant. Friday, I received a handwritten letter from jail. I got lost in the money. I started seeing how easy it was. Thomas said the systems could be worked around. I believed him over you. I'm sorry. I placed the letter in my file cabinet. Evidence of admission, not forgiveness. The systems I had built kept functioning. Automated, impartial, catching crimes while marriages crumbled. The federal trial lasted 17 days. I testified twice. First about the financial systems, then about my marriage. Did you ever suspect your wife's professional activities? No, I trusted her. When did that trust end? When my fraud detection system caught her attempting to transfer our retirement funds without authorization. The jury listened attentively. Dana appeared smaller each day, paler, her designer clothes replaced by standard jail attire. On day 12, Thomas Wade cracked. He accepted a plea deal and agreed to full cooperation in exchange for 7 years instead of 25. He detailed everything: marketing, budget, embezzlement, property manipulation schemes, a network of executives across 3 states, with Dana coordinating the operations. She managed the books, tracked everything, and ensured nothing appeared unusual on company statements. Ironic, she'd learned financial diligence from observing me, only to use it for criminal enterprise rather than protection. The prosecution played recorded calls, Dana's voice clear. Nathan's too focused on his own systems. He'll never check my work accounts. My wife of 22 years betting on my respect for boundaries to facilitate her crimes. Day 17 brought the verdict. Guilty. 12 counts of wire fraud, 8 counts of conspiracy, and 2 counts of embezzlement. Sentencing was set for 6 weeks later. I left the courthouse without engaging in press conferences or making statements. I simply drove home. The financial system had done its job, caught the fraud, provided evidence, and facilitated justice. Not revenge, just consequences. 2 months after the sentencing, Dana received 18 years, while Thomas got 9. I sold the house for $500,000 after fees, more than enough to start anew elsewhere. I retained my position at Orbit Union, enhancing my fraud detection systems and adding features specifically designed to catch corporate embezzlement schemes. These updates could potentially save other companies millions, as Michelle reported. That's the point, I replied. The divorce finalized quietly, with no contested issues. Dana's guilty plea eliminated any contention. I signed the papers while she began her prison sentence. William called with an update. Full restitution ordered. Your retirement funds are permanently protected. I purchased a smaller house in Norfolk. 1 story. Simple, without guest rooms to clutter or reminders of 22 wasted years. I began teaching part-time at Old Dominion University, leading a financial fraud detection class twice weekly. Real cases, real lessons. Trust but verify, I told my students. Systems protect when people can't. Occasionally, I received letters from prison. Dana's remorse deepened with her isolation. I did not respond, did not visit, did not forgive. Not cruelly, just cleanly. The systems operated without emotion, algorithms identifying patterns, mathematics revealing truth. I learned to live the same way. 3 years later, my morning coffee ritual was established. A simple breakfast, market. Checks automated, drives to work devoid of specific destinations to avoid. Sometimes I passed by Valerie Marketing Group while running errands. New building, fresh start. 12 families received restitution. I learned to trust cautiously. Life continued. Orderly, systematic, protected. The lesson remained. Betrayal happens. Theft occurs, systems endure. And sometimes justice arrives through equations rather than emotions. I made peace with that mathematics.